Isaiah Rodriguez. I'm in Biology 101. I meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30. I'm the 7:30 class. My video project is going to be on evolution and natural selection. And this is for, I think it's unit 3 or unit 4 for the chapters 36 through 42, I believe. So evolution, by definition, is the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. So what that basically means is there's earlier forms of life that had to adapt and grow to change to fit their environments, and all this happened over millions of years. That's what evolution is. So as with evolution, there's going to be controversy. So controversy is thought to be between religion and science. From a Christian standpoint, it's God put everything on the earth as is, created man and woman, by evolution's theory, it's kind of like that we evolved from apes and monkeys, and that God did not put us on the earth as is. That we evolved over millions of years into what we are today. So as well as evolution comes natural selection. So who invented natural selection? 90% of people think that Charles Darwin invented natural selection. And he definitely improved on it, but the initial person that invented natural selection's name was Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. So Lamarck invented the theory of transmutation of species back in 1817. In 1858, Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace published their new theory. Unlike Lamarck, Darwin based his theory on proposed common descent. And what proposed common descent is that two completely different species can share a common ancestor. So this is a bird and an alligator when they are the closest resemblance to what we have left of dinosaurs. Winged dinosaurs used to be like pterodactyls and different forms of flying dinosaurs. They've kind of evolved or descended down into our common birds on a much smaller scale, and alligators because of the jaw-like structures and their habitats. So, excuse me. On every type of evolution, it can either be progressive or it can be regressive. Progressive evolution means to evolve and gain new attributes and mutate to their environment. So that means that regressive means to lose attributes to your surroundings. So for example, the Mexican cavefish used to be camouflaged with eyes. Because the Mexican cavefish lives in caves where there's no light, it lost its eyes. It just dropped the use of its eyes. So it has no eyes anymore, and it also lost its camouflage. So that because there's no need to camouflage for things that can't see you in the dark. So that's regressive evolution, is losing stuff. Before we continue with progressive evolution, we're going to talk about natural selection. So natural selection is basically, Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection is that only the strong survive. So all small, weak animals are naturally going to be eaten and consumed for energy by bigger, larger animals. So just like it's like a simple food chain. It's like weak, like small little rabbits, are going to die if they get eaten by grizzly bears or something. But natural selection and evolution, leads to evolution. So now the rabbits become fast and the bears can't catch them. Now they survive. So some examples of some progressive evolutions. Indohens are fossilized records of whales that used to live on land. I believe they have bones, teeth, and ears. So imagine whales with teeth, bones, and ears, and that walked on land, basically. Way back when, old fossil records show that that did happen, that they moved into the sea millions of years ago, like millions of years ago. Another example would be peacocks. Peacocks have evolved from being dull-tailed, creatures to being like brightly colored, because females tend to mate with brightly colored tails of peacocks. So eventually, a lot of dull-tailed peacocks stopped reproducing because they didn't have mates, and so millions of years later, here we are, and there's very, very rare to find a peacock with a dull tail, like dull tail color. Another thing, giraffes. So giraffes used to not have long necks, hundreds of millions of years ago. They were not, where they live in savannas and stuff, and back in Africa, they don't have access to a lot of shrubs and a lot of berries and stuff to eat, just lying on the ground anymore. So they had to resort to eating stuff off of high, impossible to reach trees and branches and leaves and stuff. So of course, giraffes started to die out, and here we are millions of years later. Now giraffes, eat stuff off the tops of trees and berries, leaves, and stuff like that off of high to reach trees. Another thing is deer mice. So deer mice are just common like field mice, but they live in areas that only deer are found in. So woods, like broadleaf temperate forests, and I don't know if you can tell, but I've differently shaded these mice, darker and lighter, because in the woods you can find dark colored mice, but then they started moving to the sandhills, and because they were dark and moved to the sandhills, they were easily spotted by predators and easily consumed by any sort of predator. So they camouflaged themselves to kind of lighter, into a lighter skin tone to match the sandhills, therefore making it harder to catch and harder to see. Evolution can also be very, very scary as far as biological standpoints. So what warrior ants are they're a species of ant that take over other ant colonies. Warrior ants between themselves emit a chemical that each other in the colony recognize. So like if you were a warrior ant and I was a warrior ant and I didn't know who you was, we would emit this chemical between each other, maybe just through antennas, and we would recognize each other. Oh, okay, you're part of mine. We can continue walking. So what warrior ants have decided to do is find other people's chemicals and replicate them, and now they can invade someone else's, another warrior ants or another species of ants colonies. Emit that signal, they think they're okay, and then they take over their colony. Worker ants don't even, stop to think about it, because, they have no idea that, my place is being taken over because of the signal emitted. Another thing, just like common, like low, examples of natural selection and evolution is like, say there's a species of red bugs living in a rainforest, and a species of green bugs living in a rainforest. The red bugs easily stand out much more than say the green bugs do. So birds come and eat all the red bugs, and now there's no more red bugs. There's an extinction of red bugs. Extinction can be caused by evolution if they don't adapt fast enough, and there's only been a few cases of that, where they just don't adapt at all and die. But I think that pretty much sums it up. Evolution over millions of years, it differentiates and adapts to its environment, or where they move, or how to evade from predators, or even how to catch their prey. So, well, before I end the discussion, there is another type of coevolution that I haven't talked about yet. And coevolution is like where, say, mako sharks and tuna. So it's basically evolution goes back and forth between the two. So if mako sharks go after tuna and eat them, then all the mako sharks are going to die. So now you have a case of evolution between predator to prey. Now the prey has to adapt and evolve to defend against the mako sharks. So now they start swimming fast. So now tuna start swimming really fast. Now mako sharks can't catch them. So now the mako shark, now the scale is tipped. Now mako sharks are dying. Mako sharks cannot, swim fast enough to catch the tuna, and they are forced to adapt. So now, they keep reproducing, and over hundreds of thousands of years, now they're, super fast. So now they, again, tip the scales back in their favor, and now they're catching the tuna again. So now tuna have to adapt again and say, okay, what can we do, And because, tuna are tuna, they don't have big brains or whatever, they speed up. So now Mako sharks, are outran by tuna, and that's how coevolution works. It goes back and forth. So thank you for your time. I appreciate listening to my lecture, and I hope you learned something about evolution and natural selection. Thank you, and have a good day.